back and we talking about that sin, y'all. So, last episode touched on the concept of sin within the lens of Vedanta. And I felt like we needed to do a whole episode on the Vedantic perspective on sin. Within Vedanta, and one of the things that separates it from religions is that there is no concept of sin. There's no shoulds and shouldn'ts. Thou shalt, thou shalt not. There are no rites. There are no rituals. It's at the end of these 4 textbooks called the Vedas. It's the Upanishads, or what the end of the Vedas are called, the Upanishads. And it is not about ritual or shoulds and shouldn'ts. And the closest that the Upanishads and Vedanta gets to sin is that which agitates. It approaches sin like physics talks about the law of gravity. And that it says, if it agitates you, well, why do it? And to cultivate the observation, the witness that recognizes, oh, wow, that action agitates me. Swami will say often in his lectures that we are punished by the sin, not for the sin. So let me explain that for you. Then we're going to get into the natural question people might have of, well, does that mean you could do anything if it doesn't agitate you? So first off, you were punished by the sin, not for the sin. There is not some cosmic judge that says, all right, Sarah, Arjuna, I'm watching your every move, and like Santa Claus, there's going to be repercussions if you don't do what I want you to do. It's more like if you touch the fire, if you touch that burning stove, you're going to get burnt. You don't need a cosmic judge that is taking stock and telling you, all right, I need to punish you for that action. You lie to your coworkers freely, well, it's going to result in diminished trust, likely no longer a job, and you're punished for the sin, not by the sin. You murder someone. Macbeth, the Shakespearean tragedy, is so beautifully articulate around this topic where Macbeth, he kills the king because he thinks he should be king. And afterwards, he doesn't say, I murdered King Duncan. He says, I murdered sleep. I murdered sleep. No prison is as constraining as having murdered sleep. And this principle is both freeing and also pretty heavy. It's freeing in that there are no commandments in which we have to blindly apply to our lives. I mean, the Old Testament has over 640 laws to it. And we think it's 10 commandments, but there are over 640 laws to keep track of in the Old Testament. Vedanta, there isn't any. Krishna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita says, hey, I've said what I needed to say, and now you can do whatever you want. There's no cosmic repercussions to those that are enlightened, to those that are on the path to enlightenment. There are no cosmic repercussions where it is you do something bad and it's eternal damnation. There is no eternal damnation within Vedanta. There is no mistake that is insurmountable. There is no act. There's no 7 deadly sins. There are no acts that then make it impossible for redemption. And there is no place that you get sent to where once you're there, it's final for eternity. And you were on trial for 80 years and you misbehaved. And now you need to spend eternity in hell. Oh my God, that's a whole nother episode on how insane that idea is of you didn't ask to be created, but a creator God made you, and you've got 80 years to be on your best behavior for eternity on the other side of it. Christianity and Judaism has so many beautiful elements to, and it's profound in its symbolic significance on how to approach life and our perspective on this existence. It can get you to heaven, to liberation, without a doubt. But the cartoonish idea we have around sin and eternal damnation in a fiery pit, that's hundreds of years after Christ's time that we start to layer on these things that now people take as literal, like a devil with horns or actual fiery pit that you'd spend eternity in. Within Vedanta, heaven and hell are mental states. They're not geographical places. I think that is the case for Christianity as well, for Christ's words, for Judaism, for Islam. In fact, there are sects within each of those that have that view explicitly stated. The Kabbalah in Judaism, Christian mysticism, Hesychism, and the Eastern Orthodox Church within Christianity, Sufism within Islam. And as we go back to this concept of sin, it is simply that which agitates. And yes, if you can kill someone without agitation, if you are actually doing that to make sure there is less harm in the world, then that is not a sin in any stretch within Vedanta. And everyone that has been caught in the middle of a righteous war against unrighteousness, or protecting their city, their family, their community from great harm that requires such extreme means, well, then this philosophical approach is clear. And when it comes to punishment, we're not punished for the sin. We're punished by the sin. Murdering sleep, the distrust of your coworkers, your family, your friends, the distance you create from those around you through your behavior. We're punished by the sin, not for the sin. Like the physicist working around these natural laws, there's no cosmic judge that's watching over you and ready to hammer the gavel and send you away. It's simply recognizing this is the way it all works. Maybe I should move with the way it works instead of against it. Instead of memorizing the 640 plus laws of which to live a good life, it's a simple recognition of maybe I shouldn't agitate myself. This has been another reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at The Daily Vedantic on Instagram or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.